Hey, beautiful people! Welcome back to Well with Mika. Happy New Year to you, okay? It is now 2026, and if you are listening to this in the first days of the new year, I want to say, first of all, I am so happy that we are all here today, okay? Some of us didn't make it through. Some of us had made it through by the skin of our teeth, okay? But we here, all right? And I want to say this clearly to you because I know what's been in your social media feed. I know what you've been listening to. And I want to say to you, you don't have to adopt that new year, new me, new version of myself. You don't really have to adopt that, all right? You don't need to erase the whole of last year. You don't need to prove anything, and you surely don't need to pretend that January 1st magically changed your life. And this is coming from somebody who loves a new year, okay? I love the new year. That is one of my markers, probably because I love stepping into January because it's my birthday month, and I just love the idea of, oh, a new year, all the celebrations. It feels good. It's designed to feel that way, right? But what I want you to focus on is that what you really need, what I want you to lean into is perspective, all right? You need a new perspective because growth is not going to happen through just reinvention. It happens through integration, through taking what worked, learning from what didn't, and continuing forward with a little more clarity than before. We talking about that, something just opened my mind up a little bit more. So, like I said, this episode is not going to be, oh, new year, new you. It's about new year, clearer you, okay? You with more clarity. So, today, we're going to talk about how self acceptance and self improvement can work together, how missed goals can actually be information and not failure, and how small daily resets can keep you moving forward without falling into the resolution trap, okay? If you've ever felt motivated in January and then discouraged by March because all your resolutions just somehow went into the trash, this one is for you. So let's get into it, all right? A lot of us walk into this new year believing that we didn't become who or what we wanted to be last year. We somehow just failed, right? But growth don't work like that. Growth is not like that. In Buddhism, there's something called right effort, which is part of the eightfold path, right? So it's effort without self-judgment. The idea is that you don't improve by hating where you are. You improve by seeing clearly. And they call that vipassana, which is insight, right? And I want to bring that to the forefront because I know sometimes we mention, oh, you have to love yourself in order to change yourself. And we're going to go through this little process of really examining that statement because sometimes it feels a little counterintuitive. It's like, what, I hate this. Like, I don't love myself. But I want you to really shift that into thinking, all right, you know what? This is where I am now, and have a clear vision of where you would like to be, but not from a place of hate, from a place of maybe excitement, anticipation, of this is where I'm trying to go. You see that goal clearly, and you're looking at it from an improvement standpoint, not a self-judgment, I hate myself standpoint. So now we just talked about the Buddhism path. Now there's in Christianity you also see it where you see the practice of daily renewal. Second Corinthians talks about being renewed day by day, right? Growth as gradual process sustained by grace, not a single transformative moment. And then also in Hindu philosophy, there's Dharma, living in alignment with your nature and your season of life. Your Dharma isn't fixed, it changes as you change. What was right for you 2 years ago might not be right for you now. It's the idea of, okay, when you might have read a book, let's say in high school or whenever, and then now you read that book and as an adult, it takes on a whole new life to you. Like you see things differently, you have a new perspective. You are not the same person you were when you were in elementary school or high school or college even as you are now as a grown woman or a grown person. So, across these traditions, the message is consistent. You don't grow by rejecting who you were, you grow by understanding who you're becoming, okay? So yes, there is reflection, but you have to also have that clear path forward, and that's where your focus is. And to me, it's also a disrespect of all that you've been through in life to just be like, oh, I'm killing that person. No, look at it, understand it, grow and learn from it. So before you think about what you want to change this year, I really want you to ask a different question first, okay? So it's that, who am I becoming? Who do I want to become? All right? And then what actually worked last year? Like really, let's think about that. What actually worked? You can't tell me that in a whole 12 months, nothing at all worked. That's just not true. Where did you show up? Where did you return, even if it wasn't perfect? You imperfectly showed your behind up, right? Where did you learn something important about yourself? Maybe you didn't lose the weight, but you learned what kinds of movement you actually enjoy. Maybe you didn't stick to the morning routine, but you figured out that evenings work better for you. Maybe you didn't finish the big project, but you realized you need smaller steps and more support. And those are wins, even if they weren't flashy, even if the outcome wasn't exactly the way you envisioned it. You have to go back, look at it, analyze it, and see, okay, what worked and what did I learn? So now what can I improve on for these next steps? Integration means you're carrying forward what worked. It means building on the evidence you already have about who you are and what supports you. You don't start from scratch, you start from experience. That's what we're talking about. Now let's talk about the goals that did not happen. Not achieving a goal does not automatically mean, oh, you're lazy, you lack discipline, or you didn't want it badly enough. Could it mean that? Sure, but it's not an automatic assumption. Sometimes it could really mean that the goal wasn't aligned. Sometimes you didn't sit down to really examine your why. It could just mean that your why wasn't clear. It could mean the goal didn't it belonged to a past version of you. It didn't align with who you are or who you were at that moment that you made it. Psychologist Edward Deci, I hope I am not jacking up his name, and Richard Ryan, they developed what's called self-determination theory, right? So now their research shows that goals stick when they're connected to three things: autonomy, meaning, and internal motivation. Goals driven by external pressure, what you think you should want, those are the ones that they just fall apart. They just disintegrate. Poof, pow, done, right? So instead of asking, why didn't I do this? Try asking, who was I trying to become? And does that still matter to me? That's that deeper why you're going for it. So let me give you an example. Maybe you wanted to meal prep. Let's say you wanted to meal prep every Sunday last year. You did it for a few weeks, then it faded to black, right? Just somehow stopped. That doesn't mean you failed at healthy eating. Maybe you did eat healthy continuously. Maybe you learned that meal prep feels like a chore. But you can keep easy proteins and pre-washed greens in the fridge that you can just grab. That's not failure, that's information, and then leading to refinement, right? So that question alone, does this still matter to me? It could really save you from repeating the same cycle with a new calendar year. So now you're going to look back and you're going to say, okay, this goal wasn't met, but what did come out of the action? Okay, this worked. Okay, this did not work. Okay, I feel like this is who I am. This is how my life is, and this is what can work for me going forward. All right? Now, one of my favorite ideas, and something that we've talked about before on previous episodes, is using small resets instead of big restarts, right? A new day, a new week, a new meal, a new moment. Research from Wharton, from psychologist Katy Milkman, she identified something called the fresh start effect, right? And she talks about it in her book, How to Change. People are more likely to pursue goals after what she calls temporal landmarks, like New Year's Day, birthdays, or the start of a new month. But here's the key. The effect works for Mondays just as well as January 1st, okay? Smaller, more frequent resets work better than that whole once a year thing that you're trying to do. So when you tell yourself, I'll start over next January, you just disconnected from the present. And we don't want that, okay? But when you say, I can reset today. You stay engaged. Like, okay, messed up that hour, but we're in a new hour. Let's get back to it. Consistency isn't about never falling off. It's really about how quickly and kindly, honestly, that you return. All right? And this is where everything is going to start to come together, because long term change doesn't start with just the plan, it starts with identity. Research in cognitive behavioral therapy and the self schema theory shows that when you shift your self concept, who you believe you are, that will create behavior change that becomes easier and more sustainable. Now, James Clear popularized this idea in Atomic Habits, but the research goes back decades, okay? And here's how it works in practice, okay? So instead of I want to work out more, try I am the kind of person who works out regularly. I move my body regularly, even when life is busy. So maybe instead of I need to eat better, we try I am the kind of person who makes choices that support my energy, okay? I'm that chick or I'm that guy. This isn't pretending, it's practicing. And I want to give you a simple framework you could use. It's just we're going to call it an identity statement, right? So it's the I am the kind of person who fill in the blank even when fill in the blank. All right? So a few examples could be I'm the kind of person who returns to my habits even when I fall off. Or I'm the kind of person who chooses progress over perfection. That is my go to. Okay. And also something like I'm the kind of person who respects my season even when it looks different than I planned. So just write one, say it daily, adjust it as you grow. Because that's the other thing I don't think gets focused on. We need to be open to adjusting, okay? When your behavior supports your identity, even in the small ways, consistency becomes natural, not forced, okay? And then you're really moving in alignment with your actual life and who you actually are growing into. So, in closing, as you move into this year, please, I want to offer you this reframe. You don't need to become someone new. You need to become more you with intention, all right? Because guess what? The person that you were 2025 and before, that was you too. That was all you, all right? So you just need to become more you, but you 2.0, you with more intention. And I want you to carry forward what worked, learn from what you didn't do, reset often, and choose identity over pressure, okay? Growth is not loud, it's steady, and it doesn't wait for perfect conditions. We've talked about this numerous times. It starts right where you are. And I'm so glad that you're here today, okay? We're going to keep pushing in 2026. Happy New Year to you all. And as always, happy healthing. Peace.